and the recording will be available to you later on our website, and we'll notify you as to how to get to that recording as well. And also, everyone on the call is on mute at the moment, and we will have a question and answer period during the later part of the session, and I'll explain the rules and how do you ask questions, et cetera, when we get to that point. So let me start with a quick overview of what we're going to cover today. And first thing I'd like to do is introduce the three speakers. So this is me, Kevin Shaughnessy. I'm the VP of Sales at LaunchWorks. Kevin McManus, our founder, CEO, and Chief Architect, will be joining us to discuss some of our newest product offerings. And finally, Chris Mayer, who's our Manager of Customer Support, will be taking us through a number of new features and things that we've worked on. So just looking at the agenda for today, after the intro, Kevin will do the product demo on two new features, our report launch for Salesforce app, which is in the Salesforce App Exchange, and our Outlook plugin. Then Chris will go through a number of new features that we've outlined for the fourth quarter. We'll have a Q&A period. Then we'll talk about our deliverables that we plan for the next quarter, and then wrap up. So with that as just a quick overview of what we're planning, I'm going to pass the presentation over to Kevin McManus, and he'll take us through some of our newest features.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome.
So yeah, I just wanted to do a quick intro and some of the exciting things we're working on. In terms of our overall mission to enable reports to be embedded anywhere, one of the things we've extended our report launch into is the Salesforce platform, and as Kevin said, it's available in the App Exchange as a download. So this application allows us to do several things, able to create new reports on the fly, able to access reports that are in Salesforce, as well as business intelligence platforms like Business Objects and Tableau and Cognos. And in terms of data interactivity, the ability to not only run your report data, but also interact with it and have the same type of personalization that you're used to with Report Launch. So that includes things like rearranging the report layouts, being able to add and remove columns, and also other things such as being able to quickly pivot the data and look at different views of the information that you just pulled out of your report. The same features around personalization in that you can save and retrieve these personalizations, so it will remember not only how you've organized your data, but in what format that you've provided the information in. There's also conditional formatting and other types of ways to provide more information in the reports, again, that you've connected with your system. In addition to Salesforce, we continue to extend out the report platform through our APIs into other applications. Some examples of that are Outlook, where, again, you're able to access all your BI platforms, including Business Objects, Tableau, and these are really just simple setups that are basically connected to your on-premise systems, and then really simply allow you to get access to those reports through either navigating your list or searching, and or being able to create new reports. So the idea being that you don't need to jump out of the application that you're looking to that you're using on a daily basis, but you're accessing that anyway, and then from there you can access your intelligence. So thanks for that quick demo. I look forward to any questions. And Kevin, I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Okay. All right. So the next, and then just this is a look at the App Exchange itself and the new feature that Kevin just discussed in the Salesforce App Exchange. So now I'm going to pass it over to Chris Mayer. Chris is going to talk about a number of our new features and things that we've added over the last quarter. And I got to find Chris. There we go. Hey, Chris, we're not hearing you. Hey, Chris, we're not hearing you. I sent an email to you this morning.
Much better. Apologies for that.
There you go. No problem.
Sorry about that. So yes, we'll be talking this morning about our dashboard launch application, which is really an extension of some of the stuff that Kevin McManus had just shown there. It's just a further, it's a standalone white label portal that will host a multitude of everything really that we offer in terms of reporting, dashboard visualizations, document management, a whole host of items. What you're looking at here is our individual point of entry. This point of entry can be one of the massive CRM systems like Salesforce or SharePoint, like Kevin had shown. This could be your own homegrown or custom portal that we could embed in as well, or we can handle the point of entry, which is what we're looking at here. Using just standard business objects, using your business objects users and using our business object security, we authenticate through, and then we're presented with our report list, which is what we're seeing here. Now, in this configuration, we are able to make this level of access to reports as finite or as wide as possible. Not everybody has just one small set of reports that they have access to, but we can certainly lock this information down or the access levels, and that's what we're looking at here. These reports or accessing these reports is no different than you would coming out of InfoView or CMC, but we offer a whole host of additional content and additional logic on top of that to make interaction with these reports much more friendly to the user. So perfect example, just basic reporting, right? Prompts are naturally pulled from the business objects report, and users can interact with these just like they can through, like I said, through the InfoView system. We do offer support for all different prompt types in terms of free text fields, multi-selects, single selects, date ranges, etc. So in terms of use case, just standard reporting, we would come in here, add our individual prompts into our field, and then process this report. Now, historically, this is generally where some of this logic stopped, right? We could go in, we could get our report, we could print that off, and then we would kind of start over and do it again. Now, in terms of add-ons, in terms of what we offer, and in terms of added logic, we'll just wait for this report to return. The first thing will be formatting, right? We support all the different formats that Business Objects does in terms of XLS, Excel, PDF, even Microsoft Word. We do offer some that they don't as well in terms of text fields as well as PowerPoint. All of that is either exportable at runtime to where we can run straight to that format, or if we twist and tweak the data and then want to dump that information out, we can set that out right here from our export screen. Outside of that, some other things that we offer, like I believe Kevin McManus had mentioned, is Save parameter sets. This is a very simple report that we're looking at here, just 2 or 3 prompts. I've seen use cases with some of our customers that have 5, 10, up to 25 different prompt sets on here. Let's say that this is a report that I run every week before my Tuesday sales meeting. Once this information is entered in here, and I know that I'm going to run this report multiple times, I can save this parameter set off, so it's very easy to retrieve. If I'm in a team management setting as well, I could also create this report and then share this off with a team so that my team can review some of the individual metrics that I'm interested in or they're interested in, or it just really gives them a starting point for that analytics that we're hoping that they will do. So this is just as simple as entering a new name, Texas prompts, multi-year. I can save this report off. Then, as I come in, once that's saved, the next time that I come in and I load up this report, it's easy to pull, and I don't have to go through and set every one of those. Here's my individual saved prompt set, and we'll go straight from there. It saves multiple values. It saves export format, so we make this just as simple as possible. One of the other things that we offer through DashboardLaunch and through this report interaction is what we call parameter administration. Now, I mentioned originally that we pull these reports, or we pull these prompts naturally out of business objects. What we do is we write those back to our database for quick retrieval, so it's a snappy response time for the end user. With that, we have a whole host of metadata that we allow you guys to kind of twist and tweak around those prompts. Perfect example here. This is my parameter administration screen. It matches my report list. I have the right to update or tweak any individual report that I have access to. So let's go back to that report that we were just running at this point, and let's go through a real-world scenario. The report that we looked at here has 3 prompts, right? It has a state prompt, it has a year prompt, and it has a category prompt. One of the situations here is this, let's say that this individual prompt here for enter value by years really isn't clear to my end users. From the report development side, that may be very simple. I know that that's calendar year. That comes from the universe, but to my end users, this is not clear to them, and they say, hey, is this a fiscal year? Is this a calendar year? What is this information? Historically, if users would like to make changes to those prompts or change those names, it usually requires a form, some kind of submission to the report development team, and then some full cycle of testing, promotion, until the end users actually get what they want. Through parameter administration, we offer group naming where we can group prompts, which is this field here. We also offer friendly names here where just with a couple clicks of the mouse, we can actually rename these prompts for our users. So instead of going through that whole process, we can just say, you know what, let's end the confusion. This is actually fiscal year range, and we're going to save this off. Okay. Now, the next time that any of my users come in and run this report, my prompt name has now changed, and we really just give you that ability to kind of make these as user-friendly as they are possible. Another real-world scenario would be tooltip information. So let's say for this date range, this really isn't clear here how this is formatted or what we need to enter in for this information. We've gotten a lot of requests through the help desk or support desk of failed reports because someone's been putting in, state abbreviations versus the full state name. To try to kind of cut down on any of that information or just provide more tips to the user, we also provide tooltips for any one of these to guide end users through the report. This is generally helpful in terms of abbreviations versus full names, product items, as well as date ranges, right? Formatted date ranges being correct. So we could just ask them, we could just say, please use full state name and add this as well. And then the same thing will be reflected in the report list. As the user goes in, they will be prompted with the tooltip, and then like I said, we just really make that cycle time of making changes to report or adding metadata around this almost instantaneous. No more long cycle times for making changes to reports. A couple other things we saw from that parameter administration screen. We can actually just write SQL straight into the database if we would like the prompts displayed to the user differently. One of the examples we did for our customer was the prompt itself only took item number. For the end user, or the analyst, we need much more information than that. We need package size, we need item number, and then we need description. We can populate this SQL to display that information however we would like to the user and still send it back to business objects in the formatted way for the report to run properly. So just a full host of control over individual reports that we really didn't have before. Continuing on through Dashboard Launch, we have all of these configurable tabs. We can support as much or as little information in your dashboard as you like. What I'd like to talk about next is kind of different roles through the dashboard. If you guys notice, I do have a drop-down box up here, which represents that I'm an administrator of this portal. I have access to 2 different companies that I'm helping analyze. My first one is my Acme company, and my second one is my base company. We have customers that are using 2, 5, up to 100 different domains that they're running through here, and each one of these domains is individual and specific in terms of report lists. This is all based off the business object security, or even visualizations. So we mentioned earlier where we can hold and host any form of visualization that you guys have. This could either be in the business object repository, or these could be standalone documents. And these again are all domain specific. So as the users go through, change these domains, switch to different companies, all of the content will switch based off the individual rights of that user or of that group. Each one of those really ties into business objects groups on the back end where that security then kicks in. Another thing we've added is support, enhanced support for static documentation. There's a couple different use cases that we've helped customer support for this. Some of them will be, let's say, DEA licenses for pharmaceutical suppliers. Based off when orders come in and orders need to be processed, our end users need access to the drug licenses to make sure that they have the rights to ship these products. That's one scenario. Another one are data dictionaries, right? Where as analysts go through and are running these reports, if they have a question over how a metric is created or what the calculation is behind it, instead of having to go outside of the portal they're using, we can provide all of this information here. Another thing that we have kind of enhanced on that is the archiving or access to multiple documents for this form. So as you see here, I have a list of documents here. And what I'm going to do is, as the portal administrator, I'm going to provide my end users with a new document. So I go to my upload process here. I can take anything from my local repository. Where's my document? Yeah, I'm way ahead of the game. I'm already to March 17, so I'm well ahead of my job. And then upload this document here. Now the first step will be posting this to our web server, which we will then sync up with Business Objects. I have full access to add descriptions to this, full description characters, and then I will publish this right out to the repository. Once that's done, just a couple minutes, any user that I have that has access to this portal and this company within this portal then has access to this document. You'll also notice that as I update a new document, my old documents continue to be accessed. They're just in the archive history. So as I update my licenses, or as I update scorecards, or as I update data dictionaries, the end users really never lose access to any of the historical documents. This can all be accessed from here and simply downloaded like any other file. That is the Dashboard Launch application, and it's really some of the things we've added around reporting, parameter administration, dynamic dashboards, and archiving of documents. What I would like to talk about next are some of our other applications, that being Activity Launch, as well as some of the enhanced auditing that we're doing in our latest version. So Kevin, if I could pass it back to you and you could show these slides.
Sure.
We can just speak to these briefly.
Okay. So you want this one or the next one, Chris?
The next one will be fine. That's
Okay.
the one we just perfect. So Activity Launch is the next application that we're going to look at. And this is just as it says here on the screen, a trigger-based process system that allows for minimally monitored management for your reporting environment. What it is, and when we'll take a look at this here in a second, is really a set of if-then statements that really will help some of these automated processes or these bulk batch processes to happen. The majority of the time that we run this is for mass scheduling of reports. There are quite a few of our customers that are using this process to, let's say, burst out instances to individual users. And historically, that has always been a very manual task. I have 10, 20 different suppliers or 10, 20 different users internally where I need to set up a set of scheduled reports for them. That may be delivered straight to their inbox. It may be delivered to their email. But as I get either a new user or I have to remove an old user, it's a manual process of going in and adjusting the schedule through business objects. The way that we do it is we have an automated application that will set a wildcarded schedule URL call so that we just manage it once in the database and let the system process everything through. That is the most common way we do it. It is based off a series of triggers, either time-based or update to database. We can also do database script execution, where if database 1 is updated, then execute script number 2. And that could be to, if my data is uploaded that night, please update another set of data in a completely different system. So if you could pass that back to me, I'll show you guys a little bit of how we set that up, how that trigger works, and then actually how those URLs are created. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Okay. So this is our Activity Launch application. This is a second install, though the process that it runs does use the core code. What we do is the first thing is we just set up a job. It's very simple. We define the job name, we define when this job starts, and then we define what makes this job take action. Like I mentioned earlier, this is either time-based or trigger-based. The majority of the time, this is time-based, right? We'll say, hey, these are long-running reports. I'm going to run 5, 10. We have customers that run up to 10,000 different instances through the Activity Launch system. So we can set this based off a fixed schedule or a set of circumstances. The most common set of circumstances is, hey, please check my data source. If the data source has been updated in the last X amount of hours, throw a trigger to process this next job. From there, we'll help you define an individual URL call, which is basically not much different than the behind the scenes logic of what we were looking through that report list. I've defined my business objects environment, I've defined my report, and I have a set of parameters that I'm going to send in. The beauty of this is that we're able to wildcard each one of those individual prompts for 1 to 20 individual prompts, and then mass process these or mass send these into business objects to schedule repeatedly. So through this use case here, I have a company prompt, a status prompt, and then a date range prompt. So what loads this? I have a query to run that will give me a result set that will then fill in this report for every one of these. So let's go take a look at my query. So if I properly process this query, what I will do is I will get a list of results back, right? I have 200-300 different companies here. Have their status, and I have then their individual start date of when I want to start their report. The beauty of this process or running this job is that it will execute once for every record that happens, or that every record that is returned from the query that I send it. The beauty of that is instead of going in and having to update all the schedules in business objects, add users, reset prompts, I make one or two changes to the database to say, hey, this is a new user or this user is deactivated, and then Activity Launch automatically understands the changes and schedules or doesn't schedule for those groups. Another thing that we do here are these 5 little characters at the end of this URL, which is some of the most powerful thing that this does, which is what we call polling. What we really try to do on this is make this to be a minimally monitored system. And what we mean by that is, historically, if I have 5 or 10 or 100 scheduled instances through business objects, if those fail, I kind of have to go in and either reset those or retry those or manage those individually. What this polling logic does is, as we submit a request to business objects, it'll write a record of that back to our database. After that, we'll have a poll job that will go out and check the status of that job every 30 seconds to 2 minutes, based upon how you configure the system. As it does that, it will update on our watching database that says, hey, I scheduled 1,000, I have 1,000, they've all been successful, and then it will trigger another event, which generally is, hey, send an email to the admin team to let them know everything has processed successfully. We can even put logic in here to say, if fail, then retry a set number of times. So that whole process of monitoring those instances and monitoring those schedules is really made as minimal as possible. The goal is once you create this, to never see this that often. It really just runs in the background. And like I mentioned, we have customers that are using this to process tens of thousands of instances over an evening or just over a few hours. This will process about, I think the max records we've got is 8 to 10 a second, so we can really schedule quite a bit of information in a very short time. The next thing I would like to talk about is some of the enhanced auditing that we've done. So if Kevin, if I could pass that back to you, I think we have some slides on that to speak to as well.
Okay.
So one of the bigger additions that we've added in our later version is some of the extended auditing. Now we have done some of this before in the past, but we've broken this up into kind of 3 or 4 different subgroups. The first group is going to be overall access. Who's accessing our system? How are they accessing the system? And what that'll do is, as more people move to mobile access, tablets, whatever it might be, our first set of auditing, our first level, is how are people accessing this? What browsers are they using? What devices are they using? So on and so forth. So we can really see the load and how people are really using our portal. The second one is login and general portal usage. And that's more of an internal audit, right? Are we providing our users with content that is actionable? If I have a team of visualization developers that are putting 3 or 4 different visualizations out here and nobody's clicking on them, that is information that I want to know. Is it because the visualization is too complex and no one can understand it? Is it too basic and they're not getting them enough information? It's a great way to see how users are interacting with the system. It'll happen at the major and minor tab levels, for those of you familiar. So as the users go in, they spend 60% of their time on the report page. They spend 10% of their time looking at visualizations, and the other 30% of the time may be uploading or downloading documents. So it really just gives you a full picture of how your end users are using it, as well as a return on investment on where we're spending our time developing the portal to what our users are actually getting out of it. And then the most finite level is going to be the overall data usage of these reports. Outside of, hey, this user clicked on this report, well, in that report, what are they actually using? We do audit what prompts are set, what information is passed into the report, and that really serves two purposes. The first purpose is it lets you know how is our report designed. If I have 5, 10 prompts on a report and people are only using 2 or 3, we should probably look at why that report's so complex or why it's not complex enough. We also have some just purely security auditing in there as well. Are people trying to are people trying to access data they shouldn't have access to? Can we prove that that this user has never accessed data that they shouldn't have? If we need to retroactively go back and look at how they've been using the portal. So we really took it all out of one massive auditing set of information to 3 or 4 different levels now, to where you can get as high level as, hey, how did we access this? Was this from an iPad, or all the way down to, hey, what prompts did John set last Wednesday when he ran this report? So just quite a bit of enhanced auditing on this. Now, with that, we do provide a stock universe and stock reports to kind of get you started in analyzing that data, to where with your LaunchWorks installation, we should be able to provide that just straight out of the box. Here's your standard metrics that you guys can either run in report form or turn into visualizations yourself as well. Some really cool stuff that we're doing with Portal Analytics. We could talk about what's coming down the pipeline for the next quarter, some of the stuff that we're, sorry.
Chris, yeah, let's do some Q&A first before we get there. So if anybody has any questions on the material that either Kevin or Chris has covered, if you go to that button up there, you can see on your screen, chat box will pop up just like that. So if anybody has any questions at this time, we'll give a couple of minutes for people to input their questions to either Kevin or to Chris, and we'll be glad to provide a quick response. Okay, we'll just give 1 or 2 more minutes. All right, I guess there's no questions at this moment. We'll go back one more time at the end. And Chris, if you want to cover the materials we're going to cover for the next quarter. Yeah. Chris, are you there? Okay. Oh. If you guys will hold off for 1 second, I apologize for this. Chris, are you there?
I'm sorry. I'm still here. Oh. Apologies.
Okay.
No problem at all.
Here we go.
Yes, as Kevin McManus had mentioned earlier, we do have some in-session report creation that we will be delivering in the fourth quarter. Straight from that report list, just like we saw earlier, as long as users have access to connections, universes, we will offer some ad hoc, on-the-fly report creation to where, again, same goal is to really cut down on some of the cycle times of end user to report development to actual content being delivered. So straight from the reporting screen, we'll be able to pick a universe. We'll be able to pick a set of measures or metrics or calculations, and then run that report or save that report straight to the user's folder to where they'll be able to run it straight to screen. Some enhanced grid viewing, or what we call our interactive viewer. In this quarter, we'll be looking to add all the extra logic, all that extra metadata around the data itself versus the report itself. We saw earlier on how we can manage prompts, how we can group those, we can add logic to those. But what our next goal is to add add enhanced logic to the data that's actually returned. So once it's returned, maybe I would like to sort off 1 or 2 or 3 categories. Maybe I would like to hide or remove multiple columns. What it does is, instead of worrying about getting the data, we're trying to help people do something with the data once they get it back. So just some really cool stuff with an interactive grid viewer for better slicing and dicing of the data. We'll also be delivering a HTML5 browser-agnostic document viewer. One of the things we and you guys can't control are how people access the portal, either via hardware or browser. So moving to completely browser-agnostic document viewer, which will allow for any kind of hiccups if anyone is using a non-supported browser. And last will be support for the Business Objects 4.2 version. We have been testing this for a while, and we will be ready, as you guys are, once everybody makes the jump from the 4.1 version to the 4.2 version. So we will offer full compatibility to make sure that when you guys are ready to upgrade, we will be as well.
All right. So, Chris, there's a question, will this work on all browsers?
The portal itself? The answer on that yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No problem. Yes, we do testing on all the standard browsers. Most companies do have standards in terms of what is supported. We do test all of the major ones: Firefox, Chrome, IE, Safari. So yes, most all browsers are supported.
Okay, and a follow-up question: can I embed all this functionality into Salesforce?
Absolutely. The engine is the same. The point of entry, what I was mentioning at the beginning, is just what's different. That point of entry can be, like I said, your homegrown application, which we can embed in there. It can be our point of entry, where we host that login page and help you guys create a nice clean login page, or it could be Salesforce or SharePoint.
Okay. All right. Anything else on the first quarter deliverables, Chris?
Not that I have, unless there are any other questions from anyone.
All right. If not, we'll move into the wrap-up section of the call. And just as I mentioned earlier, we did record this call, and we will make it available to everyone who participated. We would appreciate if you have anybody else in your organizations who needs to have access to the information, please share it with them as well. We always put our release notes out on our website as well, and there's the address, and we'll send that information to everybody as to where you can access any and all of our release notes. We have already scheduled our first quarter 2017 first release webinar, which will be on January 5th at 2017 at 9 a.m. Central Time. After the call, if you have any questions or any time, please feel free to address them to help.launchworks.com. And finally, I just want to thank everybody for your time today. We appreciate it. We would love any feedback also at the help.launchworks.com address of any topics you would like to cover or anything else you'd like us to do to help you use our products more effectively. So again, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to talking to you in the near future. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.